It is a time of war. The scribes and sorcerers of the land of Terrinoth have tapped into the power of the mysterious dragon runes. Though they comprehend only a fraction of the true potential of these artifacts, the rulers of the realm understand all too well that he who controls the dragon runes controls Terrinoth. Blinded by aspirations of power and covetous of the runes of their neighbors, the leaders of human, elf, undead, and Uthuk raise massive armies and march against each other. At the same time, brave heroes venture forth from their home cities on perilous quests in the hopes of claiming a dragon rune for their king and eternal glory for themselves.
Runewars is a fantasy empire-building game for 2 to 4 players. Each player takes on the role of a different fantasy faction, whether it's the humans or the elves or the undead. Each faction starts in their home realm, and they're trying to expand out, conquer more territory, build up an army, and eventually conquer 6 dragon runes so that they can establish control over Terrinoth.
Runewars is a game of territory control and resource management, but it's got this whole other layer of hero questing, so there's like an adventure game in there as well.
In addition to your armies and your units and all that stuff, you also control some famous heroes from the runebound world. And these heroes will go around completing quests, getting powerful artifacts, and also finding dragon runes for you. So it's very unique in that aspect.
Fantasy Flight has put out lots of games like quest games like Runebound, the World of Warcraft adventure game, and so on, like Talisman, but there's nothing out there right now in the gaming industry that is what we call an empire-building game. And that is where you get to experience everything on a high level. You get to command armies, you get to make decisions on resource management, you get to build cities, you get to send heroes on quests, and ultimately you get to crush your enemies. And that's awesome.
One of the cool things about Runewars is that each faction has its own sort of unique personality and play style. First, for example, you've got the Dakahn Lords, which are kind of a realm of humans, of man, very reminiscent of medieval Europe types. Their units have no magic, for example, but rather they have bowmen and footmen and siege towers and knights.
You have the noble elves, who are very fast but kind of fragile. They've got a lot of archers that can attack quickly and that sort of stuff.
Next, you've got the armies of the Undying. Now, these are the undead, and this is the only faction that has one particular leader associated with it. That's who's the villain of Runewars, really. They've got high initiative ratings, meaning that they act last in battle, generally speaking. But he's able to, that is, Wykar's units are able to swarm their enemies.
Finally, you have the Ethuculon, who are formerly a nomadic people that have become corrupted, and they've kind of allied with some demonic forces, and they've started to mutate and kind of gone down this wrong path, and they've got these crazy berserkers and warlocks, and they've got a couple of demons that are allied with them, and they're just not very nice guys.
What's interesting about Runewars is that it's built of a modular board. Interconnected hexagons are sort of randomly distributed. Players take turns setting these hexagons down at the beginning of every game, so no 2 games are going to play exactly the same. Now, on top of that, maybe the coolest visual feature of Runewars are the 3-dimensional mountains. Mountain terrain is something that in game terms can't be crossed by armies, except armies that have the flying ability. Certain units do. In terms of the visual appeal, though, what these mountains do is they stand above, and 3-dimensional, above the rest of the board, and it really adds to the feel that you are a general standing over a sort of strategic map of your land.
And we also have the faction sheets, which are these nice thick sheets that have dials attached to them so that you don't have to collect piles of tokens for how much wood and ore and stuff you have. It's all kind of adjusted straight there in front of you.
Gameplay in Runewars is really measured in-game in years. And in a year, there are 4 seasons within the game, and each season has each player playing an order card for that season.
At the start of the season, a season card is drawn. This tells you something that's going on in the world that everybody has to interact with. And once that's been resolved, everybody chooses what they want to do that season. Each player has a hand of 8 cards, and these are different actions they can take. It's either to move my troops, to recruit new troops, to build strongholds, to harvest resources, and everybody simultaneously chooses what they want to do and puts it face down.
Oh, in the spring of a year, you might play a recruit card. Then in the following summer, you might play a mobilize card. So what's cool about it is really you've got to figure out in advance kind of 4 moves ahead. And when the year begins, when spring begins, and you're able to go into other areas that you weren't at the beginning of the year, you really have to plan out when it is that you're going to maybe harvest your resources, build an army, move that army, and how you're going to do that 4 moves in advance.
Well, when you finally sit down and you put out Runewars for your first game, we want you to invite your friends over, and we want the first thing out of their mouths to be cool. You know, that's awesome. We're playing that. We hope that people sort of forget time and space when they're playing. We hope that they get in the zone. The best way to play a Fantasy Flight game, in my opinion, is to get into that semi-role-playing state where you're playing an awesome game. It has intelligent mechanics, it has great balance, but you don't feel like you're sitting in a living room. You feel like you're a king commanding his knights around, or the undead lord trying to corrupt the world and blot out the sun. You know, those are the kind of experiences that you want out of these type of games.
I think that what will be imparted to our fans when they play Runewars for the first time will be a sense of the depth of this universe that we've created.
I think the thing that makes this game stand out is just that there is nothing else like it. That it has conquest, it has resource management, it has empire building, it has heroes going on quests, it has diplomacy. You're affecting these neutral forces, you're working with other players to either gang up on people or to benefit each other. There's just so many different layers of strategy, not only in the cards that you play, but in the way that you backstab people, in the way that you work together with other people. It can just make the game change in so many ways that you're really not going to get this experience anywhere else.